garbage truck side loader, front loader, roll-off bins, and their hydraulics. All right here, right now. This video is jam-packed with all sorts of bits of knowledge to help you do one thing, to feed your brain. There's so much information packed in this video. So you can jump right to a topic. See the timeline in the description below.
Welcome to Feed Your Brain.
It's trash pickup day in the neighborhood, and the trash carts are out front by the curb. Let's watch the garbage truck drive up and pick up the trash cart, and then empty it. The garbage truck stops when the claws are next to the trash cart. Then the arm moves forward, and the claws grab a hold of the large cart. Then the claws move up the inclined track, up high. Look how high up the cart goes. And look how the claws are so strong that they squeeze in the large cart. And then the cart gets held upside down so that all the contents are then poured into the garbage truck container. And then the reverse is done with the trash cart. The arm and claw are lowered down on the track, back down lower, until the trash cart is on the ground, and the claw opens back up. And then the truck drives forward to the next trash cart. This is a garbage truck that is a front loader, because it grabs the trash bins from the front. This front part is called the fork. This is very similar to the fork that you eat with, or maybe you use this type of fork. Words can be the same for many different objects, because they look similar and function basically the same way. So yes, this is just called a fork. It has two prongs, or arms, and it lifts up objects. Just like the forks that you are used to. Although, the fork that you eat with has 4 prongs. And the garbage truck fork has only 2 prongs. This entire piece is called the tilt. And that's right, because it tilts. And it tilts up, so you would say that the tilt arms tilt up. Now let's look at the dumpster. Dumpsters are large. Here's a man standing next to one for reference. Here's his son next to him. Be aware that you should never go near any dumpster or play near any dumpster. Just leave dumpsters alone. So like the sign says, caution. Do not play on or around. Other information to be aware of with dumpsters. Here's another sign. Notice. Private dumpster, not for public use. Did you know that dumpsters only are to be used for property on which they are located? So that means that if you see a dumpster in a parking lot or alley, and you don't know who owns that dumpster, you are not allowed to just dump your trash into that dumpster. Public use means that it's for everyone to use, like roads and parks. Private means it's only supposed to be used by its owners, who pay a monthly fee for its use. Here's another sign to be aware of with dumpsters. It reads, trash only. No chemicals or hazardous materials. Watch my other video on what goes into the trash bins. There are dumpsters everywhere. Every business, and every apartment complex, or every public event, needs to get rid of their trash. This one is on a college campus. And at construction sites where there is a large amount of waste, these large trash bins are what is used. These are called roll-off bins, because, well, they roll off of large trucks that are called, of course, roll-off trucks. More on these later in this video. So how does a front-loader dump truck pick up these large and heavy dumpsters? Let's look at a frontal view of this dumpster. This shows that these 2 metal boxes on each side of the dumpster are hollow. So this is where the dumpster's fork go into to lift it up. Now let's go back to the dump truck and watch how it picks up the dumpster. The driver goes forward real slowly, and make sure to have the two prongs of the fork go into the dumpster's handles. Now the dump truck's arms lift up the heavy dumpster with ease. And up it goes, up over the compression box, where the dumpster is held upside down, so all the trash and garbage falls out. And then the empty dumpster is lowered back down to the ground, which is just the reverse of raising it. And the driver slowly backs up the dump truck, which is called going in reverse. The truck beeps as it backs up in reverse, so that anyone outside near the truck can hear it, and so that they can be sure to be clear of the truck backing up. The driver also has to make sure that no one is standing near or behind the truck. Then the dump truck drives away and drives on to the next full dumpster. But wait, we still need the dump truck to learn more about it. I'll radio the driver and see if he can come back to us. There he is, thank goodness, he drove back to us. Let's feed our brain some more. Do you know how these lift arms and these forks get their powerful strength to be able to lift such heavy dumpsters full of trash? It's from the power of hydraulics. You can spot hydraulics on any machines by looking for these cylinders and these piston rods. And also don't forget to look for these tubes going into two ports on the cylinders. Once you spot these items, you know that you are looking at a hydraulic power system. I cover the principles of hydraulics, known as Pascal's law, in this other video of mine. Be sure to check that video out as well, to learn more about hydraulics. But I also want to bring your attention to the hydraulics here on this dump truck, because it truly is amazing, and something worth at least becoming familiar with. This huge arm moves up solely because of this piston rod, this cylinder, and the hydraulic fluid that is pushed into and out of it from these two tiny ports. I mean, look, these two tiny little ports have pressurized hydraulic fluid pumped through them from small tubes coming from a small pump. And this alone is what moves this giant arm up and down. That really is amazing. Let's briefly look at the components of the overall hydraulic power system. You have each cylinder, which has two ports, and each port is connected to a tube. In each tube is hydraulic oil. And imagine that the system is connected like a big loop. At the start and end of the big loop is this tank, where the hydraulic fluid is held. See this green line? This green tube is connected to the oil pump. And the oil pump is connected to an electric motor, and the motor gets its electricity from the dump truck's engine. From the pump, the hydraulic oil is now pressurized and it flows into a control device, which controls the direction of the oil. You see here a bunch of lines, which represent the tubes. Two tubes are going into each cylinder through the small ports. The port at the base of the cylinder forces the piston out. And the port at the top, or the head, of the cylinder, forces the piston in. This outward, and then back in movement of the piston rod is what moves the equipment attached to the piston rod. And the side of the piston that is not getting any of the pressurized oil is called the low pressure side, and that side of the oil returns to the tank. And this is what makes this system a loop. Now back at the dump truck. Let's look at some more parts on this truck. Here are the large wheels. There is one here up front, on the passenger side of the dump truck. There are two wheels back here. You might not see all of the wheels in this image. But there is a wheel here, and there is a wheel here, for two total wheels here. Then behind them are two more wheels. There is a wheel here, and back behind this wheel is another wheel. So let's add up all of these wheels. There is one wheel up front, two wheels here, and two wheels here. That's one wheel, plus two wheels, plus two wheels. What does that equal? 1 plus 2 plus 2 equals 5 wheels. But that is just on this side, the passenger side, of the dump truck. There are the same amount of wheels on the driver's side, the opposite side, as well. So the total number of wheels is 5 plus 5. And how much is 5 plus 5? The total number of wheels on this dump truck is 10 wheels. That is a lot of wheels. This part is called the cab. This is where the driver sits and drives this trash truck. The cab is small and sits over parts of the engine, therefore this cab is called a cab over engine. This part is the engine. This is an internal combustion diesel engine. It's what gives this truck all of its power. Parts of the engine are also under the cab. The radiator air grill is here up front. And underneath here are parts of the engine as well. Here is the transmission, which changes the torque from the engine, and this small part here is a metal shaft that turns and gives power to the wheels. Look how small this is. This one small cylinder is enough to give power to all 8 of the rear wheels. This is a step. Because this truck is so large, and the wheels are so big, the cab is up high. So you need to use this step to step up into the cab. This large back area is called the container or compression box. This is where the trash and garbage is held. And also the trash is compacted by a large steel plate and powerful hydraulic pistons to squish the trash to make it take up less room, to make room for more trash. This is the tailgate. This is a big metal door that opens up at the waste collection site so that all the trash inside can be dumped out. This here is a mud flap, and this here is a mud flap. This here is a fender, and this here is a fender. These are all used to keep mud and debris away from the vehicle. Without these, mud and rocks and water would get sprayed all over the engine and truck. This here is the front bumper. It helps to reduce the damage to this truck in low-impact collisions. This is the ladder. It's used to climb up high to view inside the compression box, to help make sure that everything is compressed properly. We sure did cover a lot of parts on this front loader trash truck. But this driver has a busy schedule, and he has to get going on his route. We appreciate his help for letting us look at this trash truck, to be able to feed our brains. Thanks for your help, driver. See you next week. Now let's look at some other garbage trucks. This is a side loader. Its gripper goes up this vertical track, and then over this curved part to dump out the trash carts. This side loader has a super long arm that can extend out as much as 12 feet. Wow! What an amazing reach! Here's another angle. Look how far out that arm is. Here's another angle of the side loader, with its gripper retracted. Here is a garbage truck that is a rear loader, because the trash goes into the back here. And this one takes 1 or 2 people to load the trash into the back by hand. Here's another rear loader trash truck, which is orange in color. This shows 2 men standing on the rear platform. This little fellow is for the beach. It picks up and dumps out the trash cans along a beach. This is a roll-off truck and a roll-off container. The large trash container has 4 wheels, so it rolls off the back of the truck. And what else do you see here? How is this giant and heavy container being lifted up? With these 2 hydraulic cylinders. This cab is called a day cab, because there is no sleeper cab area in the back. This roll-off container is covered with a tarp, to keep its contents from blowing out of the container. This roll-off container is being lowered onto the ground. Here it's sticking out of the back. And here the container is being tilted up. And here the container is being tilted up even higher, and the container is almost touching the ground. And what makes all of this lifting possible? Look here. What are these? Yes, these are 2 hydraulic cylinders. See how hydraulic cylinders do all of the heavy lifting with big machinery? Here you can see the hydraulic oil tank. And here you can see the tubes used in the hydraulic power system. Let's go over the parts again with this garbage truck. What parts can we remember? This big area is called what again? This is the compression box or container, where all of the trash is held. What about this back area? This is a door that opens up high. This back door is called the tailgate, and opens up high so that all the garbage inside can be dumped out. What is this front part called? This is where the driver sits and drives the garbage truck. This front part is called the cab. And this particular cab is called a cab over engine, because the cab sits over, or on top of, the engine. What is this part called? This is what you open to get inside the cab. This part is called the door. And look how high up it is. Because the door and cab are up so high, then you need this part to get inside. What is this part called? This part is called the step. You step up onto the step to be able to climb up inside the cab. What are these parts called on the sides of the cab? They allow you to see out of the cab. These parts are called the windows. And the front window is called the windshield. What is this vertical metal part on the left side of the door? This is the door handle. You grab onto and hold this door handle to help lift your body up into the cab when the door is open. What is this round part called? This entire part is called the wheel. How many wheels are on this garbage truck? There are 2 here, and 2 here, and then there are 2 on the other side here, and 2 on the other side here. And then there is 1 here up front, and 1 here up front on the driver's side. So altogether, there are 10 wheels. And what is this part here? This is the outer rubber part of the wheel. This outer rubber part of the wheel is called the tire. The tires wear down from driving a lot and then need to be replaced when the tire tread is low enough. What is this part called? This is a ladder. This is so that someone can climb up the ladder, and therefore be able to climb up to the top of the compression box, to check for anything in the way. What is this part called? This is the lift arm. This is what lifts up the heavy dumpsters, and then turns the dumpsters upside down with its forks, to then empty the trash into the compression box. Now let's look at the hydraulics used on this garbage truck. Can you locate the 3 hydraulic cylinders? There's a large cylinder, a medium-sized cylinder, and a smaller cylinder. Let's look for the largest cylinder first. Do you see it? Here it is. It is connected to the arm lift, so this hydraulic cylinder is used to move up and down this large arm lift. Do you see the 2 ports on this large hydraulic cylinder? Let's get a closer look. Here is the base port. And here is the cap port. Do you see the hydraulic fluid tubes going into these 2 ports? In this image, we do not see the tubes for the cylinder. The 2 tubes must be going back behind the cylinder somewhere under here. Do you see the hydraulic cylinder that lifts up the tailgate? It's right here. Let's take a closer look at it. Here it is again. This hydraulic cylinder's fixed anchor is on this back edge of the compression box. This hydraulic cylinder's movable anchor is attached to the upper part of the tailgate here. Do you see the 2 fluid ports? Here is the base port, and here is the cap port. Do you see the tubes going into each port? Here is the tube going into the base port. It starts from underneath the compression box. Here is the tube going into the cap port. It also starts from underneath the compression box. And where are these 2 tubes, or lines, coming from? They are both coming from the cab, where the controls are located that the driver uses. So then, what do these 2 lines do? The line here, and the line here? These go up over the top of the garbage truck and down the other side, to the hydraulic cylinder on the other side, which is the driver's side, also to lift up the tailgate. Now let's see if we can see the 3rd, smaller, cylinder. Do you see it? It's right here, up on top. This cylinder gives power to the fork on the passenger side. Let's take a closer look at it as well. Here it is again. The fixed anchor is here, and is attached to the lift arm. The movable anchor is here, and is attached to the passenger side fork. Do you see the two fluid ports? Here is the base port. And here is the cap port. The base port has a hydraulic fluid tube coming out of it. And the cap port also has a hydraulic fluid tube coming out of it. And both tubes are now together here, and are attached to the side of the lift arm. Now let's follow these two hydraulic fluid tubes, or lines, down the lift arm, and see where they both go. The two fluid lines stay on the left side of the lift arm all the way down, past this turn here, and down to the end of the lift arm. And then the tubes, or lines, loop up underneath the garbage truck, where they go to the controls in the cab, for the driver to control the fluid movement of the pistons inside the cylinders. What about this tube here that runs along the middle of the lift arm? This also is a hydraulic fluid tube, and this one is for the fork on the opposite side of the garbage truck. We just covered a lot of parts on this garbage truck. Thanks for staying with me as we feed your brain. I hope that you've learned a lot. Garbage truck side loader, front loader, roll-off bins, and their hydraulics. Please hit like and subscribe, that helps a lot. And thank you for watching.
Feed your brain.